Good morning, my friends. Welcome back to my channel. It's Belinda here from Visualized NZ, and today is all about the Margarete Miller collage assignments. Now, I am behind, as most of you will know, and I am working on week 22 today. I'll get caught up eventually. Now, I'm not going to read off the list of prompts at the start because I'm not going to be putting them down in the order that they are in the list. So I'm just going to kind of grab my bits, do the layout, and then we'll bring it all together, of course, with a little story. And I hope you enjoy the story with this one. I think it's kind of cute. So we have here a bit of newspaper. It's from the 1970s, if I remember correctly. I have already removed the date for something, so from memory, it's from the 1970s. It's all sort of speckled with age and yellowed and delicious. And it's a list here of university courses is what is on this bit of newspaper, which I prefer to the other side. Okay, so that's going to go here somewhere. I'm not sure. I haven't played with layout, so we're just going to kind of see where we get to. I have this really cute image of a mouse out of a Beatrix Potter book, and I think maybe just cut it out with the guillotine. So this wee mouse, I'm going to give him a name. He is going to be male because he's wearing blue. I don't know. Just to me, I think he's a boy. So what are we going to name our mouse friend here? How about Samuel? Samuel the mouse. That sounds like a good name, doesn't it? Samuel the mouse. He's the main character in our story today. And he is the item, calling a mouse an item. He is the creature that's fulfilling the prompt of something found in a library. Yeah, I know, a bit random, eh? Bit random. But, you know, mice can get in libraries. They can get in anywhere where there's a gap to get in. And in winter, which it is here in New Zealand, mice like to come inside, anywhere inside, because it's a little bit warmer. They can build a little nest and hopefully find some food, and So in our library we have a mouse, and his name is Samuel. So I'm not quite sure how I want to arrange this. So a bit of playing to be done. I could trim this down, but I really quite like that edge there. It's kind of fun, so we'll see. I might do some further cutting around the actual image, but for now that'll do. Okay, I have also here another page from the same book, and we have another mouse here, and this mouse is going to be Samuel's mother. And then I also need this, I was going to say dragonfly. It's not a dragonfly. It's a ladybird. Or some people call them ladybugs, but we here call them ladybirds. So I'm just going to trim off a couple of bits here. So I need our ladybird here. So I'm going to cut around, not a true fussy cut because there's lots of little fine legs and antennae there, so I'm just kind of do a bit of a kiss cut, really leave a bit of that background around the ladybird. And shall we give the ladybird a name? Let's call her Jenny. She's going to be a she because, lady birds in my head, they're always kind of female. Of course they're not all female. I don't think they're hermaphrodites. So it's going to be Jenny, the ladybird. And she's one of the prompts as well because we needed a bug or insect. So she's our friendly neighbourhood bug. So just doing a quick wee cut here. I was received a message or a text message about half an hour ago, somebody asking to catch up with me. So all of a sudden, what was like a relaxing afternoon just getting my videos done is suddenly I've got less than an hour before I have to go out to catch up with her. So I think there, like, the mouse is maybe pointing at Jennifer, because Jennifer's coming to visit Samuel. Okay, now another prompt is a border or frame, and I have these die cut frames here. They're quite thick, they're like chipboard, black chipboard, and I thought Samuel needs a portrait of his mother on the wall, so I wasn't sure which one I would use, which one was the best size. She's cleaning out her mouse hole there with a brush and shovel, but I think that will work quite nicely. So I'm just going to draw around that image, or around the frame rather, and then if I cut a little bit inside that pencil line, we should be good to fit it inside our frame. So yet to bring the story together, so we don't need the smaller frame. I wasn't sure which one I would use, so I've just got to angle this a little bit so I can actually see inside the pencil line. A little bit easier on the white. I might have to go back in and get the corners because they're rounded and I've just cut square. Yep, so we need to, I'm just going to take a little angle off them. I'm not going to bother rounding them. It should be sufficient because it's not going to be seen. That's the idea, is that it will just fit within. Need to do a little bit more trimming. That's pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to, whoops, destroy my composition with a swipe of the sleeve. Put glue on the back here and glue in our picture of Samuel's mother. Now, in our local library, it holds art exhibitions and sells art for local artists, and so people have a spot for a month or two and then a new artist puts their stuff in. So we could say this is something in a library too. It's a bit of art on the library wall. So we've got our, I think my problem here is I'm going to have a lot of blank space. We might have to look at doing something with that. I will wait and see as till we've got all the elements kind of in place. I just need to clean up this little mess here before I sort of put my mind to whether I want to put anything in the background. Okay, so we have the border or frame, something found in a library, that's our mouse, Samuel, bug or insect, piece of newspaper, and then the other two prompts are stitching, real, drawn or stamped, and the bonus is paint splatters. Right, I don't think I'll need my fussy cutting scissors now. Put those away. So I also, just for added embellishment, have a little stack of books, if I can pick it up, out of a children's book. So we can pop those maybe down there. This is my piece of stitching. Now it's a piece of old sheet that I picked up for 50 cents. It was a whole sheet, really nice quality. I picked it up for 50 cents and I just cut out a little bit. So it has got actual machine stitching here where it's got the seam. But I've also put a bit of orange cotton stitching in there, and I've finished it off because Samuel, okay, now I need to get into the story, I think. Samuel is a very bright young mouse. He is very bright, and he's moved out of home and he's gone into a university library. So we've got our university courses here on the newspaper. He's a bright young mouse, and he wants to really improve his lot in life. He wants to study. He wants to learn all the things, and is setting up his little home inside the library. And so he's bought a sheet for his bed from home, but he wants to make it a bit more personal, and he's sewing, but he's interrupted by a visit from Jennifer, the ladybird. So he hasn't finished the sewing. So maybe the books need to go over here. Because he needs to visit with his friend Jennifer, because she's welcoming him to the neighbourhood, because she also hangs out in the library. He's got this picture of his mother on the wall already in his little room that he's setting up. Now this is the big blank area. I'm not so worried about this because I think we've mostly covered it. What do I want to do? Brown paper maybe? Or I'm trying to think of something that will fit with the story, that will build the story even more. Actually, I do have an idea if I can put my hand to it. Where did I put it? Just hang with me a couple of minutes, guys. Right, I was in my Patreon video, I was playing with wallpaper, and I have some pieces, I'm thinking maybe this one, left over, and we could just pop that in there because the library has wallpaper. It's wallpapered. Or maybe he's hung the wallpaper in his room that he's busy decorating as his little home away from home. Excellent, let's do that. So I'm going to put the wallpaper down first. I'm pretty much going to just tacky glue everything down. It's the quickest way. So if you want some ideas on wallpaper, I played with wallpaper in this week's Patreon video. And I might do some more too, because I've got a lot of wallpaper. And I need to be a bit better about using up my stash. Did I say I've got a lot of wallpaper? I mean I've got a lot of wallpaper. I've even got some vintage stuff that a friend found and bought for me, which was very kind. I didn't have the heart to tell her that I already had a lot of wallpaper, but the wallpaper she found for me was in rolls, like just very small partial rolls, and it's very old, so it's quite fragile and cracks and things, so I wouldn't use it on a cover, but it's beautifully vintage. Whereas my stash of wallpaper I have by and large is in wallpaper sample books, so limited size, generous size but limited, and kind of one sheet of each design or colour. So I certainly wasn't unhappy with what she found for me. I thought it was incredibly kind and generous. And thoughtful. Right, so there's our university courses down. Now do I want to cut around this? I think I want to cut around, not all of it, I just want to kind of bring it down to this coloured area. Yeah, I can just do the top section, I think will work. Let's taper off into the white. Probably brought it down too much, but that's okay. We can live with that little gap. So I think that's next. Yep, let's put that down next. So Samuel, away at university, setting up in the library, and that's his little home, his little base, and he's just, you know, busy setting it up. He hasn't been there that long. Oh, sorry, just had a thought. I need to work out where I'm going to put my prompt list. Okay, before I glue anything else down, I better think about that. And he's not sure what he wants to study, so he sneaks into all the classes. When there's classes running, he sneaks into the back under a chair and absorbs everything that's going on so that he can hopefully decide what he would like to focus on in his study. Okay, so it's that. Books, they're his own little study books, his notebooks, and where he takes his notes and writes his essays and things. So I don't know why he's pointing at Jennifer. Maybe he's telling her, off you go, I'm busy. I don't know. Right, where am I going to put this, my friends? Let's cut it down first so we know what kind of size we need. Now, what's the straight edge? I think that edge is the straight one, because that would have been the edge of the paper. Well, it's going to be our straight edge now. And last side. Right, so cut it down to just what we need. Could we tuck it in behind here, I wonder? I think that would work, wouldn't it? Maybe further over this side. I like it on an angle, if you haven't noticed. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. So I'm going to do tacky glue on this, and hopefully it's okay. Hopefully it works fine. Oops, very hard to glue because it wants to move everywhere. Gosh, getting tongue-tied. Or lip-tied, actually. And lip-tied. I've got a little injury on the inside of my lip, and I think I must have cut my lip with my teeth during the night. Not last night, but the night before. It was very sore yesterday. It's not sore today, but there's, you know, it's a bit of a lump. And yeah, so I think it's actually affecting my speech because it's not normal. Okay, so, and I just like having that loose thread because, you know, he hasn't finished sewing. He's still got more to do. Now I put that up higher than what I intended, so maybe I will put the books over this side. And I could find more books and things and put around the place, things that Samuel might have in his little university library home. I mean, you could build a lot more into these stories than what I do because I typically stick to the prompts and don't use extra stuff. I may have used extra stuff in the odd one here and there, but not usually. Okay. So maybe he's not pointing, maybe he's actually waving goodbye. She's on her way out. She's been visiting. And he's like lifting up a hand to wave, but it comes up as a point first. I don't know. Just a loose kind of explanation. All right, so just going to glue kind of the bottom part there. Right, so the only thing that we need to do now is the paint splatters, and that is the final bit of the story. So I don't want the prompt list in there for this part because it's going to be messy. Hopefully I don't get paint all over my sleeves. I just recently refound this jersey. It's one I've hardly worn, and there's a hole in the sleeve. And I was like, oh, that's a shame. I could easily fix it. It's only a small hole. And then I wore it for the first time in years yesterday. And then I put it on today and I looked down and there's a big hole in the front. And then there's another hole on the here on the sleeve that's a bit bigger than the one on this cuff. And it's like, okay, where else are there holes hiding? I might have to get out my needle and thread, I think, and not just for our young lads sewing. Gosh, why was that so difficult? I don't know. Right, okay, I feel like I need something like underneath, because you know, paint splatters have a tendency to go a lot further than what one anticipates. So, a bit of brown paper, just because it was handy. Actually, I'm going to do this side, because this side's shiny, and it's more likely to be the side that I'll glue down, so I can still use the other side as a blank side. Or I could use this side if it's got paint splatters and that's the look I'm going for. Gives me options. Right, let's do the messy bit. So I'll give this a wee shake. It's just house paint, acrylic paint. So Samuel, as I've been talking about, has just moved into this, like it's his little mini dorm room really, but housed in the university library, and he's doing a bit of decorating. Put up some wallpaper, put up a portrait of his mum, sewing himself some bedding, little paint flakes from the bottle. Now he's also doing some painting to decorate, to freshen up his little portion of paradise. And he has a little accident with the paint. Of course he does. Or maybe it was Jennifer who actually caused it. That could be possible. Maybe that's why he's pointing, because he's actually like, get out of here, you just made such a mess. Now this might be a bit thick actually. It's not going to splatter for me. So let's just grab out a lid to put some paint on. Don't need a lot, so that's probably ample. Oops, get rid of the cat fur. Don't need that. Cats and mice. Yeah, I'm sure Samuel wouldn't want a visit from a cat or a bit of cat fur, because where there's cat fur, there's usually a cat. Right, just going to add some water. I'm sorry if I'm off screen, but I'm kind of, now that I've sort of set this up, I don't want to move it around too much. So I've added quite a lot of water. I'll bring it back so you can now see what I'm doing. Just mixing it up with that water. So he's painting his room white. Must be under a stairwell, or, you know, in a two-story library or something. I imagine a university library is quite big. Come on. There we go. I'm trying to kind of protect my jersey a little bit. And I don't mind if some gets on the portrait of his mum. Maybe a bit more. Soaking into the sheet there. Yep, so bit of an accident with the old paint and we got a bit messy. Either Samuel or Jennifer or both. Maybe they were both responsible. Maybe it was Jennifer, or maybe it was just Samuel and Jennifer turned up at the wrong time. I'll let you fill that part of the story in. I invite you to complete the story. What do you think happened? Whose fault do you think it was that the paint went push? Of course, it wasn't my fault. No, I was just the agent to tell you the story of what went down. Kind of. I've left it a bit open, haven't I? So we got one speckle of paint on that. So we didn't do too bad at containing the mess. Okay, so that's going to tuck in behind the picture, but because we've got wet paint, I'm not going to tuck that in just yet. So that is our Margarete Miller challenge for week 22. Done. So just to refresh, we have a border or frame, something found in a library, which is our mouse, but also our books. A bug or insect is Jennifer, our ladybird. A piece of newspaper, our university courses here, from the 1970s period, I think. Stitching, real drawn or stamped, so we've got real stitching, both machine and hand stitched, for his little bit of bedding there. And we've got our delightful paint splatters. So there we go, guys. I hope you enjoyed the wee story of Samuel, Jennifer and his mum. Thanks so much for joining me. I will catch you again soon. Have a great weekend, friends. Bye for now.